The bird's eye perspective is a good way to orient the viewer to give them an idea as to what the total layout appears to be. The adult eye level perspective is the one most commonly used. It's a great way to show the total layout, to concentrate on scenes, and to show accessories in action. The trackside perspective is one of my favorites. I think it really looks impressive when you get up close and personal with these low-gauge trains. It's important to control the speed, that is, go reasonably slow so you pick up some detail as you come around the curves. The trackside is also an excellent way to preview individual cars in a consist. You have to try this in the scene perspective. You get the views as those little folks that have been living your layout for years. It's what they see. I think it's one of the more interesting shots. Here's a housekeeping item. That rag on the chair doesn't add anything to this scene. With the camera mounted on a slow-moving train, the camera pointed slightly to the right, we get a good picture of some scenery and then proceed into the freight area and the passenger stations. For this on-the-track video, the camera was mounted in the last car in the consist. The problem I found is there was that big fat back end of that boxcar, which is not a very interesting thing to watch going around the track. Here we have a covered gondola in front of the camera carrying car. I think it gives a much better view of the train and of the surrounding area. Yeah, there's bunnies there. My wife sprinkled bunnies around the layout at Easter time. This on-the-track video is taken on super streets at a slow speed, with the camera pointed at an angle from the track. The result is a smooth video with adequate detail. Here is a comparison of fast and slow speeds of two similar concepts. The slow speed reveals details, while the fast speed is impressive. I find speed selection to be situational dependent. The Blue Comet was moving so fast, I find this video was unusable. Slower speed is not a panacea. This slower video is jerky, has inconsistent speed. It is not very interesting. Here we scan or move the camera as the train passes. It's important to scan smoothly and just a bit slower than the speed of the train. This technique allows you to video what you naturally do when you're watching a train pass a crossing. This action scene, dumping logs into the sawmill, would have been a lot better if I'd taken that lamp out of the way. That's a distraction. This is good news and bad news for distractions. I did stop the ice cream stand from swirling to distract from the sawmill. However, I let that lamppost remain, and it blocks the view of the center section of the sawmill. I should have moved that lamp out of the way. And I should have noticed that that lamp off on the right side behind the sawmill has a burned out bulb. Housekeeping is putting the layout in order so it looks great while you photograph it. The roof on the convenience store is canted so that light shines through. This distraction caused me to reshoot the scene with two trains doing a coordinated pass near the convenience store. The timing was tough to get right. My number one housekeeping issue is people that have fallen over. For some reason, my guys and girls have trouble standing up. Instead of loading lumber into the pickup truck, this fellow decided to take a break right there on the ground. This is a good example of why I recommend viewing your videos on a tablet-sized display before moving on to the next shoot. This mistake would have not been seen on the small display of a smartphone or of a camera. I've taken many photos and videos at this location. I never liked the hundreds of wires in the background, but it wasn't until I was making this video I decided to rectify this bad housekeeping situation. Here I was photographing the train depot between the two boards, and I thought the lighting did a reasonably good job. This on-the-track video of the depot area under the board would certainly have benefited from some lighting, as I used in the previous video. This video was going well until I rotated the camera, and the sunshine streaming through the window caused a backlighting issue. The fix was to move the camera so that the sunshine was no longer picked up by the camera lens. In this video, the camera was handheld. I believe it would have been a much smoother and less jerky video had I used a tripod. Unit was named the Red Comet. Some people call it the Commodore Vanderbilt, because right along the side of the locomotive it says Commodore Vanderbilt. The 263E tender is a 242, that is, there were 2 front truck wheels, 4 drive wheels, and 2 rear truck wheels. The tender has 2 6-wheel trucks. There's a nice fence around the theater. And here's the lad getting ready to sell the tickets, and over here's the snack stand.
Coming up now is the smoking liquid nitrogen car. Followed by the radiation hazard car with the flashing lights.
This is the NASA covered gondola. Added radiation stickers and hazardous material warning labels.
The helicopter car. NASA reconnaissance helicopter going out to see if the range is clear. It appears to be clear. They've landed back at the train.
There's 2 SW-1500 locomotives at Kennedy Space Center. Their road numbers 1 and 3. Note the color of the 2 SW-1500s and compare them to the K-Line road number 2 and the number 1 and 3 models by MTH. Next special rolls into the station.
Neutralizing people on the other side of the building.
Editing involved in changing perspectives can be a little challenging, but the results are well worth it. And here we go with the milk being dispensed onto the platform. This editing technique yields some good results. As you change perspective, try to make the transition point the same for both of the video segments. Here we catch the caboose as it comes onto the straight section of the spur. Here we pick up the C&O locomotive as it emerges from the tunnel. Then we transition perspective to a close-in trackside as the loco again egresses the tunnel. We then go to an eye-level perspective as the loco pokes its nose out of the tunnel. This time we follow the caboose as the sequence ends, and there's a bonus in that the locomotive is just protruding from the tunnel at the end of the scene. Occasionally you will find a situation where a split screen works to your advantage.
We will set the launch parameters, move the countdown clock to 0, observe the warnings. Warnings are satisfied. We will start the countdown. And we fired. A successful launch. Here are some behind the scenes photos. This is the bracket that mounts the camera to the cars. Metal top with a thread for the tripod connector to the camera. A Gargraves roadbed cork with the screw below the line of the cork so it doesn't scratch the train. This is the NASA engineer's view with the camera pointed forward and slightly to the left on the NASA Switcher 1500. And here's the Casio camera mounted on the last car in the consist, an AEC Energy car.
Here's the Santa Fe pushing a gondola with a GoPro in it to take pictures on the lower level.
I'm trying to do a video of Craddock from the truck. The truck wouldn't go slow enough to take a nice picture. There were a lot of blurs and jerks and stops along the way. Turns out the sedan with the GoPro strapped on top of rubber bands, they gave me a nice smooth slow riding platform to take pictures of Craddock. This is the Portsmouth passenger station. You notice the soldiers and sailors, This is the Portsmouth, Virginia passenger station. Notice the soldiers and sailors. I can't say sailors.
Eli the Iceman uses an orange shovel to push blocks of ice into the reefer. I had the voltage turned up way too high on this accessory, and keep an eye on the shovel and see what happens.
Recording now? Mm-hmm. Okay. Recording now? Mm-hmm. Okay. This is the Lionel number 3451 automatic log car, about to dump into the 164 log loader. Oh. Glad the guy in the car survived. The 3462 automatic refrigerated milk car is about to dump its load of milk onto the platform and fulfill the obligations of its delivery contract.